Hey there, and welcome back to our Read Through the Bible series. We're on week 1, day 4. Let's jump right into it. We see here in Genesis chapter 16 that Abraham is starting to question the promise that God had made to him. Remember, just in chapter 15, this previous chapter, we saw where Abraham was credited for believing that God's promise would come true, that he would provide him with a son, and that through that son all the descendants would eventually come. And we see here in chapter 16 where he's not trusting that promise so much because he's a part in the idea here of Sarah saying, "Here, take my servant Hagar, and I have a son through her." So we see here where he's obviously questioning the promise that's been made to him. One thing I want to point out here is that Abraham was probably doing this because of a lack of, or a problem with patience, with waiting for God's promise to come true. We'll talk about that in just a second. But on a side note, I want to point this out. We can look and see in one chapter where his faith is great, and then the next chapter his faith is wavering. I just want to challenge all of us to remember that our faith, our walk with God, 1 year, 1 day, does not automatically mean that it's going to be on that same great level the next day or the next year. We have to continually be taking steps to every day to walk with God and to choose to believe Him that day, and to ask for His strength to trust Him that day and to follow Him that day. Just because we had a great experience at summer camp or on a mission trip does not mean that the next year we're going to be walking with God as strong as we were there, if we are not diligent to continue developing that walk with God. So that'd be my challenge there. Let's just remember to not take 1 day's great walk with God and 1 day's great victories with God and just automatically assume that's going to carry over. Let's every day, out of love, just pursue Him more and more, and being more and more like Him. So Abraham, he had a little problem with patience going on. Now let's be honest. It had been 10 years since God had first made this promise to him about descendants coming through him. So I guess one could see where he was starting to wonder a little bit. But I think our challenge here is, and our point here is to remember that the way we don't want to be is like, God, this thing, whatever it is with you, that I need help with, or that I need you to deal with, or that I need answers with. It can't become, God, why aren't you helping me? Why haven't you given me an answer? Why haven't you taken care of this? It needs to be more of, God, I might not understand why I don't have an answer yet, but God, I know you love me. And God, I know that your promises are true, and I know that you're taking care of me. I know you have an answer for me, and I know that you are giving me strength every day to continue in whatever I need to do as I wait to see how this will work out. That will help us if we can just have more of an attitude like that, with not coming to a place where we really begin to question and think that God doesn't care anymore. Always remember those truths. God loves you. God has a plan for you. God is powerful enough to make it happen. And just in His strength, be patient as you wait for that to happen. I love at the end of chapter 16 where we see Hagar. She has this encounter with God, and she calls Him, "You are the one who sees me." What a great thing to think of God as the one who sees me. It can be very comforting. God, you are the one who sees me. Every need I have, everything about me, God, and I know you love me. It can be challenging. God, you are the one who sees me when I'm at my worst, when I'm sinning greatly, when I'm totally blowing it, God. When nobody else sees me in those moments, you see me. And that can be very challenging. But the great thing is that we can still remember that, even in that, even when you see me at my worst, God, I know that you still love me and that you still care about me. God, you are the one who sees me. We see in chapter 17 where Abraham and his descendants actually start carrying out their part of the covenant. Remember, God had done His part of the covenant. He said, "I will bless you, and I will just pour out my goodness upon you." Now here He's telling Abraham, your part, as I've said in previous videos, your part is to obey. He says, "Abraham, you are to walk before me, and you are to be blameless." And then He says, "Abraham and his male descendants are to be circumcised." That is the actual physical action they are supposed to do, as their part of the covenant. And now with that, and if you don't know what that means, go ask your parents. I'm not going to tell you. And with that, what it's really all about, it's all about them obeying God. God said to do this, and they do it. And it's all about setting themselves apart, being different from the nations around them, the nations that did not follow God. Because the nations that did follow God all around them, this was not a practice that they followed, the male circumcision. So that would make them different than the people around them. And that is what God still calls us to today. God says, I will bless you. I will be with you. I will pour my goodness out on you. Your part is to obey me and to be set apart, to be different, to be holy is the word we would use. To not be like those around you who don't believe in me and who follow their own way. And that's what God's calling us to still today. When we get to the passage about Sodom and Gomorrah, and Sodom being the town that was destroyed, the city that where Lot, Abraham's nephew, lived, we can look at this a couple different ways, and there's a lot we can learn from it. We know this was a wicked city. I mean, we see it where Abraham kind of is pleading for the city, and he's like, "What if God? What if you can find 10 righteous people there?" Obviously, God couldn't, because God said, "Yeah, for 10 people, I won't destroy it." And we see this when the men of the city, when the visitors are at Lot's house, and the men, it says all the men from every part of the city came to his house, seeking to sin. So that all the men from every part just shows us, gives us an idea of just this city and what they were about. How this was a true sin city. Abraham says to God, before this happens, he says, will not the judge of the earth, will not the judge of all the earth do right? And the answer is yes. God, as the judge of the earth, will do right, and he is doing what is right here and carrying out his judgment on this city that was totally disobeying him. And the problem, if we have a problem with, wow, this seems extreme, God, is that we don't see sin for how ugly it is. We don't see sin for the insult it is to God, for the slap in God's face that it really is. It's when we sin, we're saying, God, in this moment, I know better than you do, and I'm going to follow my own way. And so God judges sin. God judges it when we choose to follow our own way instead of his way. Now, luckily, God is a loving God who forgives us when we ask for forgiveness. When we insult God in our sin, he will forgive if we ask him. But we see in this city that God is right in judging this city. And the truth is that Lot really did not deserve God's grace. God showed Lot and his family grace by trying to bring them out of the city. We can see that Lot had just fallen really into the sin of this city. He'd been living in the city for a long time. It was a city known for great sin. And we can see where he himself offers his daughters to those men as kind of a bribe for them to do what they want to with his daughters. We can just see this in his family and the way things play out as you read the chapter. So Lot was guilty, and Lot deserved judgment, but God in his grace spared Lot. So we see a beautiful picture there of God being a gracious God. Lot, just a little quick thing we can notice from Lot here is, notice how Lot hesitated. The angels are saying, we're going to destroy this city, and you need to get out of it. And it says that Lot hesitates. He doesn't want to leave this place. He has become in bondage to this place. And that is what sin does. Sin traps us. Sin starts out looking at something, oh, this is good, this is fun, this is pretty, I love this. And then it turns on us, and we start having to deal with negative consequences. And there's all kind of effects that come, broken relationships and broken trust and just all kind of things that end up coming out of sin. And so we need to be people that don't hesitate when God kind of confronts us with, you need to change this, you need to put this aside, you need to get on the right path here. We need to be not those people that hesitate and say, oh, but God, this way is so much more fun. We need to see that it's bondage and it's chains, and it will have negative effects on us. And we need to be quick to run away from the sin instead of hesitating and hanging on to the sin. So here's my thought for today. May we be people who look at God and see, you are the one who sees me. God, You are the one who sees me and knows everything that I need. You are the one who sees me and blesses me and loves me. God, you are the one who helps me to obey you, who helps me to be set apart from the world around me that doesn't love me. God, you're the one who sees me when I sin, and you are the one who calls me and challenges me to lay that sin down. And so, God, may we just in your strength uh, set aside those things that you would have us not to do, God, to not hesitate to run from sin, to see sin for the ugliness that it really is. And may we be those who cling to you, who walk with you, who are obedient to you, who are different from the world around us. May we be ones who just enjoy your blessing and then make a big deal about you to everybody around us. Y'all have a great day. Thanks.